As I cough into the microphone. Welcome back, guys. I'm so glad you're here joining with us. With us, I don't. You know what?
Perfect. Perfect.
Clearly, I'm just struggle bussing today. Either way, we're so glad you're here with us, so you can struggle bus with me and Melina, who is not struggle
Yes.
bussing, but I
Whatever.
am. I mean, it is what it is. But we're so glad you're here, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. We're just glad you're here. Grab something to drink, grab a snack, and come join us to talk about our new topic. Melina kind of threw me in and said, hey, pick one of these three. I'm not going to say what three they are totally, but I think that
Delancey feels. Drum roll.
just like all three of them are really, really good. There's one of them I'm definitely not picking because I just feel like it's too heavy and I'm not going there. But I honestly, though, I think because we should, I feel like this is an opportunity for me to learn. So we are going to talk about why well, not we think, but why adoptive parents get jealous. And the reason I'm saying, let me say this, the reason I'm saying it's time for me to learn is because I'm very, very blessed in this scenario that my mom and dad have always been so secure in their position in my life. So it's never been one of those things. They've always been the protagonist behind me finding my biological family. So this is an opportunity for me to learn. My mom has given me her perspective on why she thinks other adoptive parents may not feel the same way that she does.
Oh, I
Yeah,
want
I
to hear that. I
actually,
do want to hear.
yeah,
If you're
I,
okay, I want to hear that.
oh
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
no, yeah, no, totally okay. And she'd be fine with me sharing it too. She's she's one of those people that's very much an open book. But before we go there, Melena actually asked this on Instagram. So go ahead, Melena. I did the intro. You do the rest.
So I pose this question because I know there's so many stories that like jealousy happens. I mean, and you
Mhm.
heard Delancey. That jealousy happens, and I just truly genuinely wanted to know why. Like, why is there so much when okay, me personally, I feel, and if you watch my stories today too, I feel I have never given a reason to make my parents feel I'm not their child. I'm gonna say that. I feel like I've never
Right.
given a reason. I feel like I never had this teen wild shit and said stupid things like we talked about a long time ago of like you're not my real parents. Never once
Oh,
has that ever come out
yeah.
of my mouth. Um I don't know, and I feel like I've included. Now, however, I do understand when I did seek out my birth family, um things weren't as included. I didn't include them as much. That's my part because I didn't feel supported. That's on me. That's not on anybody else. That's on me. So I didn't want that
Mhm.
to be encompassed. So, but as I posed this question, it was very interesting. Some of the highlights that came up on fear, fear of the unknown, which I understand. If your child's
Right.
going into this, there's fear. You don't know what's going to happen to your child. You don't know what's going to happen with the relationship with their birth mom. You obviously don't want your child hurt. Insecurity is a big one, which makes me really sad. You need to become, I don't know who said it. Somebody said it, but it was so good for um before like you go into adoption. Maybe I don't know if
Mhm.
Delance remembers this or if this is something I just overheard. Fix yourself before you go into a situation like this.
Yes.
Because adoption comes with a lot of layers. And you'll hear me and Delancey say
Mhm.
adoption's not the
Mhm.
part of like trauma and stuff like this. But when you
Mm-mm.
do this, you do have that potential of taking on another family sometime maybe in the future if it's closed, even if it's open and the adoptee doesn't want contact with them, but maybe later in life does, you have to recognize there's a second family involved in this. Like you just have to, whether outcome's good, whether adoptee wants to or not, like you have to be prepared for that. And my biggest thing, and this is where I did voice that I got frustrated because there's things like, well, I didn't do my part as a parent if my child wants to look for the biological family. For me, I was like, what the shit? That does not
Oh,
make any sense. Yeah.
whoa. Time out. Pause. Did somebody actually write that as an answer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. One of the
Like,
other things, no, no, go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of stuck on this. Really? Like that was
Yeah.
like a legitimate answer that a human being from their
Yeah.
account typed in as a response. Two.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
not saying they're right or
And
wrong, but that's a
no, no,
lot to
no,
unpack.
no, correct. And like I said, 100% of these answers just make me sad. It makes me sad that
Mm-hmm.
people actually have to feel this way of like, well, I'm not a good enough parent. So some of the other ones were, well, they automatically have this biological connection, so they're gonna like them more. And I'm thinking, no, like you got to look at every adoptee stories. Hell, look at me and Delancey's stories. Ours are so different with our biological families,
Mm-hmm. Facts.
so different. Um, let me see. I might have to pick up my phone and look. Like some of them, fear was a big one, insecurity. That just makes me sad because it's like I'm a mom too, and I understand I can't empathize with fertility issues or anything like that because I can't. Okay. But I understand being a parent and I understand it's hard. And I understand that you are probably not going to do all the right things all the time for your children. You're just not. Like it just is what it is. Like you're going to screw up, you're going to mess up, whether your kid's adopted or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let me look in my messages too, because people answered more in like my messages just because it was like so long. Um, one of them, this actually, this one broke my heart. I won't read the whole thing, but this, let me know how you feel about this too. Okay, I'll read this. Adoptive parents get a lot of hate, and sadly, a lot of that comes with inside the adoptive community. We're never expected to be perfect parents and never find anything about raising our kids challenging. We're expected to be perfect parents and never find anything about raising our kids challenging. We're also told that we are never going to be enough for our kids. We are told that we are selfish, that we should have taken all the money we spent in the adoption and just given it to a birth family with the assumption that then the child could have stayed with their birth family. Even though we love our kids, we adopted. No different than our biological kids. We are told that love and care is insufficient, that we are less than parents, just stand-ins for the people who really love them and who the kids really want to be with. We're told we aren't real. I can imagine that when your child then excitedly tells you that they are going to find their birth parents, that it can feel like it validates all those horrible things people have to say about your relationship. Okay, I understand this wholeheartedly. If you're told this all the time and your kid wants to, then yeah. And me, I responded back. I said, "Excuse me, but who the F is saying this? This is horrible. This is like the first time I've ever heard like this." But yeah, see, is
I
it the
know who's
negative
saying
people
it.
on
I know
TikTok?
who's saying it. Yeah, it's people on TikTok and people on Instagram Live that have the audacity to go in and try to tell people how they feel, just like they did to my friend when she went into that live, which was an episode that dropped a few back. Like that is the thing that kills me is that these people
Disgusting.
it's so sad, but you can't. I just I know that's exactly who it is. All these negative Nancy's that are going through a tough time and they're blaming something that was out of their control for things that are within their control.
Right. No. Ooh, 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 I
I
like that.
just,
That's the
I
quote
just
for
I just
this
have
week.
moments. I have moments.
No. But then get this too. So she, same thing as you. These are things that I've not only seen on the internet, but some we heard in trainings for adoption, including where they brought in a birth mom and she said those things. If that was my kid's birth mom, I would be worried and she would push that narrative onto my kid and try and drive a wedge. That would be devastating. I imagine this could also be hard for some parents when they don't know the birth family. This could be extra concerning if the child has, a distorted view or anything like that. I've seen some adoptees talk about how they felt like they didn't feel connected to a parent or a sibling, but it's attributed to their being adopted instead of that's just how it is in some families. But they don't feel that way with their birth family. But why would they? They didn't go through the complex experience. Like blows my mind, blows my freaking mind.
I had
Like,
I had a particular thought just now that is probably not okay to think, and I'm debating on if I should say it, but based on what you just read and what about the birth mother coming in and saying it, it's you're not lending your child out.
ooh, I like that. But I
Do you
do
know
like that
do
a
you know what I
lot.
mean? Like the
Mm-hmm.
child is not being lent out. It's not being
Yes,
checked out like a library
correct.
book. Like this child is being taken into a family.
Yep.
Now, is it guaranteed to be perfect? No. But are you guaranteed to be perfect, to be biologically, like to be biologically born into a perfect family? No. It
No.
just saying,
Yeah.
these children aren't being lended out.
No.
So that's, the whole entire real thing is what kind of rubs me the wrong way a lot. Always
Just
has. Always has.
understand. I don't understand it. And I do want to preface, I did before I even started, like, even asking this question, I said, I'm not blanketing it to all adoptive parents because I know not all of them
Mm-hmm.
are this way. I just want to know why some feel this way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
give me maybe assumptions. And to hear that, this is where I get irked with that birth mom. And I have a good relationship with my birth mom, but this is where I get
Mm-hmm.
so irked with that birth mom. It's like, honey, you are the one that made this decision. And if you
Mm-hmm.
truly don't want this shit to happen, then this sounds
Mm-hmm.
horrible. Take your damn child back and figure your shit
Mm-hmm.
out then and raise this baby how you think it's going to be better than these two other people who it's a
Mm-hmm.
mom and a dad. That's a lot of the things that my birth mom told me.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted me to have a mother and a father. She wanted me to have better. And I feel like the
Yeah.
genuine birth parents, they do. They want their child to have better because they know they can't be better. But for this birth
100%.
mom to have the audacity to come in and say this at a training, if this was my adoption training, I'd be like, oh, bye, get the out of here right now. Like, thank you. Come again. You're never
Just
coming to one of these again.
thank you, come again, but not really.
It's
Appreciate
so
it. Like
true.
that's golly, I'm trying to understand because it's like, you know, the relationship obviously with my bio side is not where it was. It's actually non-existent at this current time, which is completely fine for everybody involved. It is what it is.
Yeah.
However, it's one of those things where it's like you saying that the birth mom said that it's like when my bio mom tried to come in and try to parent, and it's like, I'm sorry, closer to
Right.
40 than not, you missed the boat on that one.
Yeah.
Like, it's not happening. Like,
Yeah.
don't, you're a friend, you're not my parent, or my biological dad's family trying to force things, like just weird things that, like, I understand. It was, some people told me, like, well, you don't understand, they lost their child. And I was like, I understand they lost their child, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to replace that. I'm not going to fix that.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
something that they need to work on. And trying to force me to fill that void is the best way to force me away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and those were my, in that birth mother's words, real family. But they have no, like, no, absolutely not, because you're not going to take the place of the family that raised me.
Yeah.
You're just
No.
not. And like, to me, it's like,
So
to
true.
have that in a training is so heartbreaking and slash disgusting at the same time, because why would you want to look at people who want to grow their family in the way that they see is best, and tell and say something like that to them? Because now I have questions. Was this a birth mother that was about to place her child for adoption, or already placed her child for adoption? Like, I have
Right.
questions.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
Because if you're about to place your child for adoption, I would not be interested in having that relationship with you.
Oh, heck
That
no.
would
I
be so
agree.
toxic. For,
Yeah.
like, if it was just towards me, I think I could handle that. I could, like, bear the brunt of it. But what that tells me is, just like you said, you're going to be filling that child's head with those things.
100.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Just icky, icky,
No,
icky, icky,
I agree.
icky.
So a lot of these, it's like insecurity, um, maybe that we lack a connection with our since we lack the bio connection, the child will leave us. It's a lot of like afraid that you'll like the biological family more. Okay, I'm gonna plug this in here right now, and I know some people might hate me for it. What's the difference? Okay, I know there's a difference, but when your child gets married and they now have these in-laws, and now you have
Was
to
just
weave in
thinking
and
that.
out holidays, birthdays,
Mm-hmm.
activities. Like,
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking that.
you know
I
what?
was
Yeah,
just
see, you
thinking
know what?
that.
mean?
I was legitimately just thinking that because like I know that I've watched families and I've watched people and like even in past relationships, like you said with holidays, unless you're all living in the same place, you have to make a choice.
It's so true.
You have to
Yes.
make a choice and you have to figure it out from there and go from there. And it just I mean, unless you're a total jackwagon, you're no one's gonna want to hurt you and choose somebody else on purpose. Like they try to find the best solution.
Yeah. No,
But
it's so
I
true.
don't what do you think maybe possibly it's not just I keep going back to what the birth mother said and what the anti-adoption trend said. I wonder if it's like a control thing. And that's the reason why they're trying to put that, like, not just instill the fear, but like make the fear grow in
Yeah.
adoptive parents. Because a
Yeah.
lot, like you said, a lot of these answers, I've written down like three of them. A lot of these answers stem from insecurities and fears,
100%.
mainly fears.
100%. Yeah.
So
100%.
it's just,
No,
mm-mm.
and that's where it just makes me sad. It makes me so sad because it's like there's one lady on here. She's like, even if I did feel that, that would not come out of my mouth. I would support my child. That's shit that I need to get figured out on my own. And I'm like, yes, like look at you already recognizing that shit, like to be,
Yo,
a better mom. But like a lot of it is just like, I just don't understand it. I get adoptions are more open these days, but it's crazy because I've had some friends who I can think of one in particular that she's an adoptee as well. And she met her birth mom, and her mom has just gone like so crazy with it all. They hardly talk, they don't hang out. They like, because she's so jealous. And I just don't understand it. And for me, I know it's a them thing. It's not a you
mm-hmm,
thing, but it still doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. You're
mm-hmm,
human. They're your mom. And it's like,
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And it's just, so I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense. It
No.
legitimately just doesn't make sense to me. And I say it over and over and over again. Like I'm legitimately so blessed to have the parents that I have that are so supportive and giving and loving. Do they drive me nuts? Absolutely. Do they make me crazy sometimes? Absolutely. Do I make them crazy sometimes? Absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I would rather go spend, an afternoon with my parents watching football than I would, you know,
Yeah.
anywhere else. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I couldn't. And then like in talking through things, like I can still talk to them about anything. I
Yeah.
may not always like what they tell me because they're my parents. I'm not supposed to like what they tell me half the time because they're telling me the truth and I don't want to hear it because, even though I
Right.
know they're right. Hear that,
Right.
mom? You're right. I know. Jeez. But that's the reason why I said like I want to learn in this, but it just everything that talking with you and talking with other adoptees and like witnessing the things that I've witnessed on on social media and like and actually having to unfollow certain people on Instagram because it's
Yeah.
just like I can't do this whole entire like
Yeah.
adoptive parents are terrible, adoptive parents are pretentious, adoptive parents are oh god, what was another one? Selfish, adoptive parents are awful, or they're traffickers or this, that, and like all these other little things. And it's just going,
Yeah.
you know what? No. Like it's almost like you just that's all you just want to say, just like no, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
It's just
it's so true.
I don't but I don't get it because adoptive parents, I feel like as long as you remember your why, nothing should ever be able to take that away from you. As long as you remember your why and you show that child
Right.
love and you communicate,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be any problems.
Yeah.
But we're also human beings, so
No.
I don't get it.
No. And then thinking about this too as you're sitting there talking, if you're an adoptive parent that keeps all these secrets from your adoptee, your ass sure as hell better not be surprised if they want to go find something else. I'm sorry, but then yeah, you didn't do your service as a parent by letting them know that they're adopted
You
and
really
X, Y, and
did.
Z. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, another thing that was brought up too is a couple foster care mamas that have it's turned into adoption. Now, we have said this as well. Foster care is so much different. And
Very
so
different.
these moms weren't even, it wasn't even like a jealousy factor. It was more of a protection factor, which I get because these kids came
Mhm.
from some really hard families and they want their kids. And a couple of the moms that said is they do have connections, not directly to like birth mom or birth dad per se,
Mhm.
but other family members to kind of keep that intact. But I get that. You've got to tread lightly on that. Even in like
Yeah.
own families, if somebody is not there to, they're not making like good choices at all, like at all, like
Mhm.
ones that can hurt people or those kinds of things, then yeah, of course you can whoop that person out of your life. So that's where it gets a lot different and a lot stickier and muddier, I think, with like foster care, because there's so much more to that when you're going to adopt like an 8-year-old
Yeah.
who's been through years and years of trauma. That I can understand. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
that shit ain't light when they're like with completely unstable parents and they finally come to this stable family and they're like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
a whole different onion. But
And they still really, really want to be with the unstable side. They still like
yes.
think they hung and set the moon because
Yes.
that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they understand. And like, I mean, like also it's like it's their mama, it's their daddy. Like, of course they love them. Like, I get that. I
Exactly.
get it. And it's, they go into foster families or they get adopted and, 10 years down the line, they want to reconnect. And you're sitting there going, the parents are probably sitting there going, I remember when you were brought to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
how bad it was. I remember how scary it was. But at that point, I almost feel like they have like we said, foster care is a very, very different scenario than being adopted at birth. Very, very different.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even in that scenario, if they is maybe out of turn, but whatever. If the child feels that they are adults enough to make that decision,
Yeah.
then I think they're adults enough for you to sit down and have that conversation with them
Yes.
and talk. Like, you don't have to tell them everything, but you can ask
Right.
them, what do you remember?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
remember? Like, what
Yeah.
what do you recall? There are certain things about your childhood that maybe we should talk through and discuss and see how you feel. And I don't wouldn't recommend doing it by yourself because I really feel like a therapist would be very helpful in that aspect
Probably, yeah.
to help mediate. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's definitely one of those things where you want them to make their own decisions, but you also, like you said, you want to protect them. You
Yeah.
want to keep them safe.
Yeah.
Maybe they did change.
Yeah.
Maybe they did grow. Maybe they did,
Right.
whatever the steps were that were needed to
Yeah.
be better human beings. Maybe they did the work. Maybe they did the
Yeah.
work.
And I also get with closed adoptions too, you don't know where maybe those bio parents are at. I understand
Hmm.
that as well. You know what I mean? You don't know anything about these parents, you don't know their situation, anything like that. And the
Hmm.
child wants to seek them out. Of course, it's a protection factor. Of
Hmm.
course, you do not want to see your child get hurt. And that was a big thing that was said too, protection. I understand that wholeheartedly.
Right.
Like, I'm a mom. Just because Delancey's not a mom doesn't mean that she doesn't have people in her life that she understands that protection factor.
Oh man.
You know
Oh,
what I
dude.
mean? Yeah.
All of them, all the time.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
everybody gets that. There's that protection
Hmm.
factor of those loved ones that you don't want hurt. I understand that.
Yeah.
But some of it's just wild, man. It's just wild. I'm trying to see. I don't know if there's any
It's just there's
others.
there's just so much it just sounds like there's just so much fear and not a lot of like there's a lot of internal fear and not a lot of external communication.
Right. No, I agree. I agree 100% with that.
So
Yeah.
many
Like,
things could be fixed with talking
yes.
and listening and taking
Yes.
turns. Like,
Right? No, I was
that's
seeing if
just,
there was
oh no, that makes me sad though. It
no,
makes me,
and
it
that's
really does make me sad.
out of all of them, it just, ooh, I liked this one too. This is a friend who has like no, like I think she has a sister-in-law who has adopted, but other than that, that's like her closest connection with
Mhm.
adoption. And so she's like, I think So she said, I almost wonder if some adoptive parents feel like, well, we rescued you, saved you, protected you from who knows what could have happened if you stayed in your birth family, and feel like by seeking out relationship info about bio families, maybe minimizing that. They see all the exciting and loving reunions and think, wait, we did all this for you when these people didn't, couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't. And maybe even though it's almost always when people are all the adults, they still feel the need to protect or shield you from that. Maybe even a pride thing. She said, not part of the adoptive community, but just some thoughts. I like how she prefaced that at the end.
I like how she does at the end. Disclaimer, not a part of the adoption community. But that's a
Yeah.
keen observation. It really
Yeah.
is, because the videos that go viral are the reunion videos.
Yeah, yours did. Holy cow, yours did.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. But
but at the same time, like she makes a good point. I can understand that people would be like, for real?
yeah.
Like, I put
Yeah.
in like I've been your mom, I've been your dad, I've done this, I've done that. And like,
Yeah.
so I get that. I understand it. I
No, I
mean,
do too.
makes sense.
100%. No, it totally does. It 100% does. But I don't know. The biggest thing that I take away from all of it is like everybody perceives what they're going to want to perceive. Everybody's going
Mm-hmm.
to feel different with how they
Mm-hmm.
feel with it.
Yep.
And insecurity and fear and jealousy, they're just huge. They're always going to come
Mm-hmm.
in. They're always going to, you know what I mean? It's just, it is
Yeah.
what it is. And then that's,
It's
it's hard.
insecurity and fear can always permeate. You're gonna love this, what I'm about to say. Insecurity and fear can always permeate a heart that's not protected by God.
Yeah. Would you
But
stop dropping bombs? Because then I
I
have to
can't help it.
re-listen and be like, quote, quote, quote.
And it's so funny because like my nose itches right after that. So people are gonna be watching the YouTube video and going, "What's wrong with her?" So many things,
Yeah.
so many things.
Dude, that
But
was
it's
good.
it's one of those things though that, and the reason I say that, I swear if my pastor ever listens to this, he's gonna be like, "That's not exactly what we say in church," because insecurity and fear can get anybody. They really can. They can affect anyone. We're human beings, but it's not for us to carry. You know what I mean? Like, and when it
Hmm.
hits us and everything, we should immediately turn that over to God, because that is not one of our things that we need to carry with us. Because if we carry it with us, it permeates our hearts, it permeates our soul. It affects our ability to connect with others. It affects our treatment of others. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And as somebody who has battled mental health that has stemmed from those things, and it went on for way too long, like years even, it doesn't get better by yourself. It
Yeah.
just doesn't.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side, um, it's okay if you have that insecurity and that fear. But just like Melina and I have both said on many episodes before, don't live there.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
move in and live
Amen.
there. Like, if you have an insecurity, that's fine.
Yeah.
And everyone has them. If you have a fear, that's fine. Everybody
Yeah.
has them. Everybody has them.
Yeah.
Don't live there.
Yeah.
If that means you need to go get with an accountability partner, that is, maybe you're not a Christian. That's okay. It's
Yeah.
one of the things that they taught at our church is you don't have to fully believe to fully belong and be loved upon. Like, that's not, like, we just want you there. So find somewhere that's going to love on you. Preferably not a cult, because they're crazy. Just saying. If it says community in
Yes.
the title or something like that, probably not normal. Or order or brotherhood, something like that, unless you actually know it's a really good one. Um, sorry, I watched a documentary the other day about cults, so
No,
that's the reason
you're
why that stuck out in my head.
you're good.
That's why that just stuck out in my brain. But I mean, insecurity comes from second guessing, and we shouldn't be second guessing.
Yes.
We shouldn't be questioning. I mean, we're gonna question because we're human, but we just can't live there.
No, it's so true. And I like as you're talking, what I can think is, which we have said so many times in previous episodes
Mhm.
too. Communication is gonna get you a
Yes.
damn long way with other people if you can
Gosh,
communicate.
please. Could you like just talk to each other? That
Yes.
way, I mean, just communicate. Just you don't have to communicate every detail of every little thing, but my Lord, just
No.
communicate.
Yeah.
See,
Mhm.
that's that's where my mom and dad totally got it right.
Yeah,
They got it right on
communication.
a lot of things, but I'm really going to highlight this because I said, I'll share with you what my mom said about this topic. Because my mom and I have talked about it before about different adoptees and different things like that, and different adoptive parents. And my mom has always told me from as long as I can remember, I was adopted. We've already discussed that in other episodes. Yeah. Pick of the litter right here. That's just how it is. It's just how it is. But it was also an understanding of it, where I could fully comprehend everything. And then, there are two people who chose life for you.
Yeah.
If you ever want to meet them, I will help facilitate that for you. If you need me to, I will support you. My dad was the same way. It was very much that's part of your story that we don't know.
Yeah.
And if you want to know it, we'll help you. Actually, my mom was I think it's important for you to know. I think it's important for you to understand
Right.
why you
Right.
are the way that you are. And it may not be fully from them, it may not be fully from us. It's from both sides. And my mom also, when she and I had this conversation, she made the comment that it often adopted parents who don't support their adoptees and looking for the biological families, a lot of times it stems from their own families and insecurities of not being fully supported or feeling as though they're fully supported, or pushed to do, how like parents, I don't want to say push because that doesn't really sound like the right thing I want to say, but I don't know how else to say it, but like push to achieve more than just mediocrity. Do you know what I
Encourage.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there we go. Encourage.
Yeah.
Encourage sounds
Yeah.
much. You're right. That sounds a lot healthier. Encouraged.
But it is
But
pushing
like,
too.
but I mean, push. It's yeah. But it's. She really, she explained to me. She said it was always important to me. She was like, yes, for you to be happy. She was like, but it was always important to me to have you live out your fullest potential. And she was
Yeah.
like, and something that I think that really shows something for her and my dad, it's that they were both like that in their own ways. You can't have two parents that parent the same style. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like
Right.
it's
Right. Right.
impossible.
Right. Right.
They have to
Yeah.
complement each other. They don't mirror each
Yeah.
other. They complement each other.
Right.
And my mom has made it very clear. She was like, I've always been secure as to who I am. She's like, I'm your mother. And she was like, that is your father. There's no doubt in our minds about that. There's no doubt
Right.
in your mind about that. So,
Right.
and she goes, I think it comes from insecurity. And she was like, but that insecurity was embedded in them long before they became parents.
For sure.
And that's something that they have to work out.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I've
I do. I do like
totally
that.
paraphrased that, pretty sure.
No, but it was good.
So mom, I hope
Good.
I got that right.
No, I love it. And I can't wait to meet your mom and give her a big fat.
Dude, she's legitimately the best. She makes me laugh. I took some, this has nothing to do with anything, but the restaurant that I used to work for catered our tailgate tent for work on Saturday,
Uh-huh.
and he brought bread pudding. It's my favorite dessert in the entire world, but I don't like everybody's bread pudding. I only like their bread pudding, like
Uh-huh.
only theirs. And he let me take a
Yeah.
whole pan, like a whole
Aw.
monster pan. It was so well. Anyway, I took it to my mom's house, and she goes, "You don't think you're leaving with all of this, do you?" And I was like, "Well, I brought it to share with you, and then I was going to take a little bit over to my sister and her husband and her kids." And my mom goes, "Mm-mm. I'm gonna cut up the portions, little." She does this. She was like, "I'm gonna cut up the portions, little girl, because you're not gonna eat this whole pan yourself." And I was like,
Fine. Fine, mom.
"Fine, mom."
That's
She's
so
she's
funny.
she's
She's
a
awesome.
riot. She makes me laugh. I'll say something
I
about
love
being
it.
an adult, and she was like, "When did that happen?" And I was like, "I don't know."
But
Weird.
it did.
But yeah, you
It
will
did.
you will love her. You will love
I'm
her when you meet
excited.
her.
I'm excited. Oh, it's good. Anything like else you wanna I feel like I covered a whole bunch of like what people said to me, but it just was
Out of
interesting and sad.
curiosity, how many
Yeah.
replies to that question did you get? Like rough
And
amount, rough estimate.
hold please. I gotta pull it up because I can't even give you a rough estimate. I got a lot of DMs too. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 DMs. And then as far as like archive, I gotta look because my freaking story disappeared, of course.
How
The one from
rude.
yesterday. Let's see. And we go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So almost 30 responses.
So that tells me that 30 people are wanting to be better.
See? Yeah. No, it's, ooh, I love that.
Like, do you like they're opening up, they're being vulnerable, and I'm so glad you gave them that platform too, because they're like, I need to. They probably have never said that out loud.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they got that opportunity to say it out loud. And
The
now it's
Lancey.
like, we hear you. We hear you.
I
But
love
and
that.
it's not wrong, but
No.
don't live there anymore, please.
I love that. No, I love that so much. That is so true. I think that's one of my most favorite things about like doing a lot of more adoption stuff on my page
Mm-hmm.
is that I ask questions like this and it's like a gateway for people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never share identities ever. Never, ever, ever, ever. And so then they have the free will to speak how they want, and nobody has any clue that it's them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
I
mean?
love that. I think that's fantastic that you give them that platform, because I think sometimes just people need a platform to be able to say the things
Yeah,
that
this
they're
is how
not
I
allowed to
feel.
say.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. And I guarantee you that mom who said that, like that birth mom came in and said that, she probably shared it with her close friends, but she's never come probably outright and been like, oh my gosh, X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Because
And she was
you
she
just
was probably
don't.
careful who too. She was
Yeah.
probably careful what friends
No,
she shared that with too.
it's so true. So very true. So I love it. I love Delancey, man. She's my favorite. I love every Tuesday that we get together and sometimes Saturdays.
Sometimes
So
Saturdays, just not so much
I
during football season.
was gonna say, yeah, football and holidays are getting a little crazy, but we are still
Mm-hmm.
making it work. So
Yes,
we're
we
good.
are.
Anyway, okay. Anything to add? Sorry, I kind of like took off more on that.
No, I love it. No,
Okay.
absolutely. No, I'm good. Do you have
All
anything
right.
you'd like to add?
No, just thanks for doing this, like this topic with me. It was one that I wanted to share with you just to like kind of get your thoughts on. And yeah,
Well,
just,
I'm glad you shared it, because it needed to be talked about.
yeah, no, it totally did. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks for being here. I love doing this with Delancey. She's like one of the best highlights of my week because we like before you don't see it, but we talk about our weeks and then we dive into
Mm-hmm.
this.
Oh God, and just a quick little shout out to Melena. She's the best listener, because I was like, ah!
But
And I
we
was like,
need
I'm
that.
sorry, how's your week? She's like,
Every
no, it's okay. And I was like,
everybody needs that. I get that though.
that's
I get
true.
it, man. I get it. So okay. Thanks guys for being here and we will catch you next time.